everyone, Laura Jean here, Bad Dream Cosplay. I wanted to kind of walk you through it's the first part of my costume for the 2020 convention season. Right now, I am working on layer 1 of a breast piece out of a brassiere. So I have a couple tutorials that I reference, and I'll put them down in the links. The first one was a blog by Adafruit. She made hers out of a wired bra just like this, but she glued this to foam and then created a beautiful breast piece out of that. The other one is a YouTube video. It's by Rin Cosplay of Rin Videos. She's a great cosplayer, and I kind of have started referencing a lot of her videos as well as I learn how to do things, because I'm still a novice. So she used a strapless bra with a very wide band on it and then zipped up the back. So she removed all the little hook and eyes that's on a standard bra. For me, using a regular bra is going to work just fine, because this is a base layer and the layers on top of this are not actually connected to the brassiere. They're just going to be laid on top and then attached separately. So I took this is a standard everyday brassiere, got it at Target. It is a size larger than my cosplay bra, which is also larger than my normal bra, because so many cosplay characters have very extreme curves, and I go for that as part of my look. So what we're looking at right here, it is I'm not going to tell you what the size is, but this is Easy Cast. Comes in a box like this. This is enough to make 16 full ounces of the Easy Cast Epoxy. This is a casting epoxy. Starts clear, then you can add colorants to it, which is really nice. So this is a very thick layer of the epoxy cast, so thick that it actually leaked through to the back side of the foam, which is fine because I won't feel this because I'm wearing things between this and my skin. And then a thinner coat on top of that to add more rigidity. Then I wet sanded it, and then I went through with another coating of the clear cast, and I added a little bit of dye, and I'm using eye candy, and I'm using primarily this No-Con blue color, and then also a tiny bit of this dark ube. I'm guessing that's how you say it. This dark ube has some green and purple kind of opalescence to it, which is really what I'm looking for. So those are two of my major things. And then for sanding, I'm using 400 grit sandpaper. The larger the number up here is, the finer the grit. So actually, as I progress, I'm going to need a bigger number, which means a finer grit. It won't remove as much that way. It won't fog the epoxy that much that way. It'll give it a nice clear glossy. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do a quick wet sand with my 400 grit. Usually I would do this outside, but we're having a thunderstorm right now, so I'm not doing it outside. It can be a little bit messy, but I have a big trash can I'm going to do it over, and instead of a bucket, trusty spray bottle full of water. Alright, so I'll get back to you. Like I said, I'm going to take down some of this gloss, some of the air bubbles. There's a little bit of like dog, cat, Laura Jean hair inside the epoxy, so we're going to remove all of that. Wet sanding done. So you'll see these are a lot less shiny now. I got rid of a lot of the imperfections. There's still a few there, but they're small enough that they'll fill in. And one other little thing that I thought of while I was sanding, be really careful about these edges, the top of the cup and the underarm side. If these do touch, make sure you sand them. That's what I'm trying to say, because if they touch your skin and you've left a little sharp bubble there, they're gonna hurt you. And cosplay is pain, but we don't actually want to cause injury. So make sure you sand down those parts that are going to touch your skin so you don't get cut up while wearing your costume. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix up these Easy Casts. Because I'm doing little tiny thin coats at this point in time, I'm using these tiny little medicine cups. And I've got 5 milliliters of each part. It's a 2-part epoxy. What you're going to do is you're going to pour this cup into this cup and stir for 2 minutes, and then you pour this cup into this cup and you stir for another minute. Not sure how it works or why it works. Science is magic that we just haven't figured out yet. Apparently epoxy is magic that I just haven't figured out yet. Alright, so I mix that for 2 minutes in the first cup, 2 minutes in the second cup, or excuse me, 2 minutes in the first cup, 1 minute in the second cup. Now we're going to add that color. Like I said, I am using Eye Candy. No Con Blue is my primary color. A little bit of this goes a long way, so I'm just using the back of a little plastic fork. I save my plastic forks from, like, you know, fast food restaurants. They give them to you automatically, so they just, like, live in my drawer until I have a crafty enough reason to use them. But, so a little bit of, like, 2 parts of the No Con Blue, and then I'm using that dark ube color again. Added the No Con Blue, and I've added the dark ube. Part of the reason I'm using 2 colors is I like the brightness of the blue, but it's too bright for what I'm looking for. The dark ube also has some really great undertones of, well, opalescences more, of purple and greens, which really gives the sheen that I'm looking for here. Yes, I want it to be metallic, but I also want it to have some cool dimension viewed in different light. So there's that. Then to apply, all you need is a cheap foam brush. These are like 79-99 cents, something like that, from your local hardware convenience store. You do want to use a brand new brush, nothing that has been sitting out in your garage collecting dust for a while. That dust just ends up in your epoxy and it just destroys the clarity of it. Alright, so I'm just tapping it to kind of break down some of the air bubbles that are in there. Make sure I don't have one last little dog hair or something on there. And literally, it's really easy. I work from the bottom up, making sure I get that little lip right there. And that's it. I mean, honestly, that is it. These thin coats only take like 24 hours to dry. I think the box says that for you can do 1 inch at a time if you're using it as like a casting epoxy to do gems and jewels and things of that nature. You can, it dries in, I think it said 72 hours for 1 inch, and you can only do 1 inch at a time. So as I apply this, I am trying to work it in a way where it does not create bubbles. I'm trying to be fairly clean and consistent with this. I am still going to get air bubbles. That's just kind of the nature of a foam brush. But again, you want the foam brush so that you're not getting brush marks and you're not getting loose brush hairs. That always happens in the epoxy. This is just the smoothest way to put it on. Just make sure you're not like jamming it in there, because that will release the air from the sponge, and that's how the air gets into the epoxy. And I'm literally just like smoothing it. I see some air bubbles as I go. You can hit it with a low set heat gun to kind of help pop some of those. You know, I did that and I didn't really think it was beneficial. I still had to sand, so it was like, why bother? It's just an extra step that I didn't need to do. Another thing that you may notice is I have this really ugly piece of sacrificial board down. The table I use is actually a rescued table from a shop class in Mackinac Village, which is where my husband grew up. Don't know how he got it, but just know that it was saved from a dumpster. He refinished the top for me, which was really sweet. So I have another working station, so I don't have to move my sewing machine from one end of the house to the next whenever I want to do something messy like this. But once epoxy falls on something, you're never getting it off. So you definitely want something that you don't mind destroying as your workstation. I mean, that could be a plastic, not fabric, because fabric will just suck this stuff up, and then it'll be stuck to your nice tablecloth. But a plastic tablecloth, like one of those, you know, vinyl ones, like, you know, your grandma had, or in my case, my mom still has. Love you, Mom. They last forever. They don't stain. They don't absorb the paints. They do make really great, inexpensive drop cloths. I've used them a million times. I just don't have one right now because mine got torn up somehow or another. I think it got thrown in the wash on accident. They're really not machine washable. So there you go. There you have it. Just a really quick, easy breastplate. Like I said, this is my base most layer for my armor that I'm working on. We're going to see how this turns out. I've never done armor in this way before. The armor I've done before was basically painted corsets, and I used the corset as my armor, which is really pretty and very, very feminine way to do armor. But it's not what I wanted for this application at the time. So now the rest of this, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do with it. There's probably about half of what I made left, but I didn't have a smaller mark on the container to use. So what I've been doing is just dumping it into a pile or a puddle on my sacrificial board, because there are areas on my board where it is really rough, and I tend to catch those with the meat of my hand, and then I end up with splinters. So I'm kind of using this to smooth out my board. It's okay. It's an ugly board. I like it. It's artistic. It shows a little bit of everything I've worked on for the last 4 years. But yeah, so that's where this is going. So there we go. I will put all of those links down in the comment area, or in my little explanation area. I'm really new to YouTube. I think this is like my third, maybe fourth video, so bear with me because I'm still learning how to use YouTube. I didn't grow up with YouTube. Heck, I don't think we got our first computer until I was a sophomore in high school. Yeah. And we were still using dial-up. So again, Laura Jean, Bad Dream Cosplay. You can find me on Facebook. I do have an Insta, but I really don't use it. Another one of those things I need to learn a little bit more about. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, would love to hear it. Put it in the comments below. Follow me on Facebook, Bad Dream Cosplay. I don't have a lot of content yet on YouTube. I'm working on it. My goal is to put something new up every week or two so I can build a channel. So go ahead and start following me now. We'll grow together. You can help me out. Like I said, like, comment, give me some suggestions. Help! But thanks a lot. Ta-ta for now. We'll meet up again later. Bye!